Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do another home bar basic, which is showing you guys how to cut down a big piece of ice. Now, as I've said many times on the tutorial videos that we've shot thus far, ice is really, really important. And for me, getting really high quality ice is a must. Now, I think at some point I will probably teach you guys how to make clear ice, but I actually purchased this ice, and when I do off-site events and when I do like really important things where I really want nice ice, I actually go to an ice company and I buy a 25-pound block. Now, I've already started to cut the 25-pound block. I think it's a little bit big to be showing you, but I'm going to show you the exact method that you would use, whether it's a big piece of ice or whether it's a small piece of ice. The other thing that I want to tell you is that you're never going to, I don't care if you milk the tears of God and freeze those, you're never going to get a fully clear piece of ice. You're always going to get minerals and air pockets. But what I will say is this: minerals and air pockets are the last thing to freeze. So what happens is when the good water that has none of those things, if you're using distilled water, when the good water starts to freeze, it pushes all the minerals and all of the air into a column in the middle of the ice, which you don't see here because I got rid of it already. But you will, you know what, I'll post a picture in the discussion board to show you guys what this piece of ice looked like when we began. And you'll see that column, and basically you just cut it down, and as you start to get smaller and smaller pieces, you can easily take out those pieces of cloudy ice. Now, you're gonna wanna use an ice pick, and I suggest that you use this ice pick. It is a Japanese ice pick. I got it from Cocktail Kingdom for 20 bucks. I'll put a link in the show notes, and it's a 3-pronged ice pick. The reason why you want a 3-pronged ice pick as opposed to just a single pick is because you can control a piece of ice, and we're actually gonna be using this to hold the ice while we cut it. And the other thing is that this is a shaping ice pick, so you can shape ice without cracking or fracturing it, which is really important when you cut it down, because the thing is that we're gonna cut these down into old-fashioned blocks, but they are not gonna be the perfect size for a glass, so you will have to use an ice pick to shape that ice as you make it for the drink. The good news about that is that if you're bartending for someone, whether it's at home or at a bar, and they see you putting that much effort into your piece of ice, it just makes the experience of the drink much better. And I gotta say, I say it all the time that, you know, presentation counts for a lot. You know, people, when they get a cocktail, they drink with their eyes first. And if a cocktail looks like crap, it's actually gonna taste worse than if a cocktail looks good. The thing that I say to people a lot is, if a cocktail looks like $1 million, but it's sort of an inferior, not well-made cocktail, it's actually gonna taste better than something that looks like crap, but is perfectly balanced. And the reason why is that, you know, appearances count for a lot, you know? It is part and parcel of making cocktails. All right, so let's get started. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, the 3-pronged ice pick, and we're gonna stab it into a piece of the ice, and we're gonna hold that ice. And then we're gonna take this knife. This is the other tool that you're gonna use. This is a serrated knife. I got it at Smart & Final. The brand is Chef's Review. It was really cheap. It's super sharp. It was $6. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut from the middle, which is what you always wanna do, because ice is most vulnerable on the side and it's stronger in the middle. Oh, the other thing that I gotta say is that you gotta temper your ice. When ice first comes out of the freezer, it is cloudy and it is brittle. So you need to let the first layer of frost melt off, and then it will become clear like this, and then you'll know that it's tempered because it's beginning to melt. And once it's tempered like that, the ice actually makes itself harder. It compacts itself in, and so it'll really go a long way to control fracturing. All right, so let's get started. We'll put these in our holes. We're gonna hold it down, and we're just going to saw the ice. And I like to take the ice and kind of saw it down on the corner. And we're just gonna saw it in the same place. Oops, it's kind of a little bit uneven on that side, so it's gonna be a little bit hard. But that's why you wanna use something that you can really hold the ice down, because ice gets really slippery when it's like this. All right, and then we're gonna flip it over, stab this in, and then we're gonna continue the line and try and do it straight, in a straight line, as straight as possible. You're gonna see as I turn this around that the ice is actually not very even on this side. So that makes it a little bit, you're gonna encounter that, and it makes it a little bit challenging to cut, but I will say that I had to do it in this particular case because Where you see the unevenness is where I cut out the cloudiness. And you do not want to get those minerals in your cocktail because it does inform the taste of your cocktails. So there we go. We scored it on that side. And try and get as straight a line as possible, but you know what? You're not always going to get a straight line. So I like to go there and just start to score there so I make sure that it match up. You need to make sure that the scores match up. You don't want them to not match up on either side because it's going to be impossible to break the ice when we break it. So we just do that. It's getting a little slippery, but that's all right. Just got to be very careful. This is a sharp knife. And stab it in. And then the most challenging part is to get this score from this side and this side to meet, which we will do our best. But it's kind of imperative that you do that, even if the cut is at an angle. All right. Now, to break the ice, and hopefully this will break because it's nice and scored on either side, on all the sides, and you'll actually see in here how the ice starts to kind of break inside, is you're going to put the ice pick into the score mark. And you can use a hammer. I'm going to use my hand because I don't have a hammer today. You can use a hammer or your hand, and you're just going to start to lightly tap. And there you go. And as you tap, it will break, and it will break in a pretty straight line. So then we'll take one piece of ice, we'll put it aside, and then we'll just continue to do that until we have our old-fashioned blocks that we want. And you always want to cut from the middle. Remember that. That's very important. Ice can compromise very much on the sides, but the middle is the hardest part. It is the strongest part of the ice. And you're not going to get fully wonderful old-fashioned blocks. You will have off sizes, and those off sizes can always be used for shaking. Cool. And there you go. How to cut ice.